All right, so we got got this here spindle off. This could lift it. This, you could put this on an M1 Abrams, matter of fact. So we got our spindle off, and so what we're doing is we're gonna send these out to Strange, Jake from Strange Farm, our savior. We are going to send these to Strange, and they're gonna make us some custom caliper brackets so that we can get some aftermarket front brakes on this thing. The only company that makes aftermarket front brakes is Aerospace, and they're like out of stock and probably don't make them anymore. So that's not an option. There's no other options, I'm pretty sure. I mean, other people have kind of came up with their own solutions, but we figured let's just send them Strange and let them take care of us. So hopefully they can figure something out. I think they will be. They're pretty smart, so much smarter than we are. I'm sure Jeff could have made a bracket, but I think we've worn Jeff out a little bit, so we'll let Strange take this one.
I think it's time for him to work on his car instead of us just hogging all of his time.
Yeah, no kidding. So I guess we'll clean up, and then I am heading to the shop. Even though it's this late, I want to go work on my truck. So, all right, we gotta put these tools away before Jeff comes out here and sees my mess that I made. Hello.
Hello.
Who knows if that worked or not? Kowalski status report. Turbo. I like turbo. Turbo's fun. This thing's gonna. I'm gonna end up painting the whole shop. It's gonna be like that episode of SpongeBob where they get
paint in Mr. Krabs' house,
and they're trying to get off the dollar. Yeah. Okay, so basically, we're gonna primer it because I know I'm capable of that, but past that, I don't know how this bed's gonna get painted. But one day it'll get painted. But I figure I'm getting the cage put in eventually, and once the bed's on it and the cage is in it and the down bars are through there, like the bed's on it, just like the situation we went through with your truck. So we got to get the bed on this thing, especially because I got to start mocking up fuel lines, and the fuel cell goes in the bed and all this stuff. So we got to get this out of the way to really forward our progress. But I'm thinking basically we're going to primer the whole bed. We're going to do a bed liner deal, but we'll paint this. This is pretty funny. Every parts store actually carries my...
How much is this little can?
Oh, $7.99.
Okay, but you have to get 200 of them.
Maybe.
For just the bed.
Right.
So I think that adds up a little bit.
It does add up. So, but, primer, that's easy. We can get this done in like one can, probably. We'll see how it goes. What we'll do is we'll paint the inside of the bed here, the part that goes up against the cab, because one, nobody's ever going to see it once it's on the truck. So, but this will actually be pretty close. Like, I actually did a little test section. This isn't even clear coated, but it's pretty dang close. It's pretty close. I think once you clear coat it, it's close enough. But again, if I'm only doing this to the part that's up against the cab, you will never know. So if I can just get that done, and then, because that's the only part where if I have a cage in this thing and I can't get the bed back off, that's the only part that you're never going to be able to get to again. So if I go ahead and just take care of that, and then the rest of it, we can get the bed on the truck and then continue doing body work over time.
Yeah.
Look at that, brand new.
Not bad. Explain.
While that's drying, let me bore you guys to death. I'll try and go over this quickly. I haven't really filmed a lot because I feel bad that I just keep making build videos when people are ready to see this thing run. I'm ready to see this thing run, don't get me wrong, but I'm doing this at my pace, my budget, my knowledge. It takes time. Anyways, we went backwards, sort of, but once I get some parts in, this thing's gonna fly back together. So I ended up finding a coilover mount that I really like. And these are from Elevated Concepts. These are pretty neat. So we cut out the top of the spring pocket. We took our Moroso Trick springs out. And I really was worried about ride height for a long time, especially because I'm going to be moving a lot of weight to the back of this thing. Like I'm going to have a rear mount radiator, and I ended up taking off the steering box. We cut off a lot of weight on the front, and I was worried that it was going to sit really high. And I was just tired of worrying about it. And also, I've got a couple buddies that have decently fast trucks just like this one, and they had Marissa trick springs, and they got to a point where they were 60 footing hard enough where they couldn't control wheelies. They just have that much stored energy. So I was going to outgrow them fast, I'm sure. And also I love the adjustability of a coilover shock, and that's just something that I didn't want to live without. So, and I finally found a mount that was really cool, and it's definitely tall. I can fit a pretty tall shock in there. So we should be able to still have a really good amount of travel, probably more travel, honestly. So these will get welded in and all that good deal. So we also are getting rid of the stock control arms. I have control arms on the way from 417 Motorsports, and this was the big deal breaker for me, is I finally found control arms that solved all of my problems. They swapped to a second gen Camaro spindle that solved my bolt pattern issue, and it also opens up my brake selection. Before, my only option was TBMs. I'm gonna try and ride Team Strange because they're really good to us on the Dakota deal. So that solved all those problems. So those control arms are on the way. They're from 417 Motorsports. They're really nice, chromoly, AFCO ball joints, Teflon rod ends, like nice stuff. So we'll get those on when they show up, and this thing will fly back together. I gotta find out what kind of ride height shock I need and all that good stuff. And so then when I was on Elevated Concepts, I found a whole slew of good stuff. So this here is a rack and pinion. A manual rack and pinion, not power. I know everybody's gonna be like, you're gonna regret that. Well, literally everything I've ever raced and drove on the street has been manual steering, and I've never had a problem with it. And I really don't like driving or racing a power steering car. Like, I don't like racing my dad's Malibu. Don't get me wrong, it's nice. It drives like a cloud, but it also races like a cloud, and I hate that. So that's just my personal opinion. Plus, it took a shit ton of weight off the front. That steering box is like, I mean, you took it off for me. It was like 60 pounds.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
ridiculous. So this will save a shit ton of weight, and I think it just looks better and simpler. And plus, those factory steering boxes, I swear, from the factory, they're sloppy. Like, I mean, you've driven every OBS my family's ever had. It drives like a boat. So that'll all be fixed. So it all just started making sense, and everything. I was like, this is gonna be really nice. I like where this is going, and we're saving a shit ton of weight. And so then that means I wasn't gonna have a power steering pump, which means my whole ICT billet accessory kit was gonna be screwed. And then I was like, well, I want to move the radiator to the back, so that means I'm gonna have an electric water pump. So then so everything snowballed, and basically we have a pro mod.
Yeah.
It's a true street pro mod, all right? It's a
Which
truck.
is the thing nowadays, so.
Yeah. Well, see, I was like, I'm gonna have an intercooler and a radiator, and I didn't want to have the intercooler in front of the radiator. I definitely didn't want the radiator in front of the intercooler because they need air. And my Falcon's got a rear mount radiator. I really like it. I just think it looks good. So that's what I'm doing. There's plenty of room back there, and Lord knows I need the weight back there. We also got the seats in here. We got our Motion Raceworks steering column. By the way, check out, they're giving away their OBS because I need another one, so that's why I bought this. So yeah, so this is pretty nice. Got the MPI wheel. Pretty good stuff there. Got our shifter in. I think I showed that last video, but I took the dash out. I don't know if you noticed. And the heater box is gone because I wasn't hooking that shit up or figuring out how to make it work. And plus, we're also rewiring the whole truck because why not? So, because I have all those wires and I was going to use none of them. So, there's that. And then back here,
we put
we did a little C-notch action, which I was really dreading, but I figured I better do it now, not later. So got it over with, and if I know I'm never gonna have trouble with that, so I never have to worry about us bottoming out or anything, especially if I want to lower it more. And it was hella sketchy, I'm not gonna lie, I hated every bit of it. But we got it boxed in real nice. It should be pretty strong, so I have no worries. I'm not gonna be towing anything. I'm not gonna be, maybe a trailer for
Maybe a baby trailer.
Baby trailer, right? And then we got this shock bar here that I still clearly need to weld in. This is gonna go across where we boxed in, make it extra strong. And so this will be our shock, we'll put our shock tabs on this, and we will also mount the anti-roll bar off of this. So I'm thinking, obviously this will go in between the rails, but our anti-roll bar will go over the axle and drop down in front and mount to the front, and our shocks will mount off the back probably. We've got Nicky Bobby gap brackets in here. He sent a pair for the Dakota. We loved them, so I told him to send me a set. Painted them suckers black. Look real nice. So huge thank you to Nick Taylor for sending those. I do want to mention they are going to help a ton with this, because on trucks like this where we're slamming them to the earth, when you have a stock lower leaf spring bracket like this, these are the stock Calvert ones. I was going to have one hole, so which really limited. I was with one hole here. I only had one hole on the front that I could have fit with the leaf spring without the bar actually like hitting the leaf spring. So when you slam these trucks to the earth, same thing with an S10, which we found out a long time ago, and you have a stock bracket like this, your bar angle, as the lower the truck gets. I've seen trucks with their Caltrack bars actually downhill. So these brackets solve that problem, because there's 4 more holes. You can actually still get some upward bar angle, and you can have a really low vehicle. So that solves that problem. What else? Oh, I did split monos.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so we ditched the stock leaf springs because Billy made me a believer when he put his split monos on. A lot of change of plans, but these are good changes that I'm really gonna like the truck more in this configuration. I feel like, as far as a racing standpoint, we're gonna save a lot of weight. I know that. I want to get this thing under. I'm setting myself an easy goal. I think I could be wrong, but I want to get it under 3,600.
I feel like you.
Without
I feel
me
like.
In it. So, if it can be 38 race weight, I'll be tickled. But I know it's going to be lighter than that. Hell, the Motion OBS is 3,300, and it's got a 632 big block Chevy. So, we got a 5.3 aluminum dud motor. So yeah. Anyways, now I've bored you guys to death. Now we're caught up. So this kit's pretty cool. It's from Elevated Concepts. They got a lot of cool stuff, a lot of unique stuff that nobody really is making for these trucks. The only other manual rack is from Flaming River, and it's a lot more expensive. I will say it's not as clunky looking, but I actually really like the idea of adding another cross brace between the frame, tying both frame rails together. It'll stiffen it up. So this actually mounts into the steering box holes and the pitman arm or idle arm, whatever goes there. I don't know which one it is, but this doesn't come with instructions, like at all. But I'm figuring it out, I think. So I've got a lot of wonky stuff here that I didn't know existed. So this is a Mustang rack. As you can see, I painted this bracket and got in. And so basically we have offset polyurethane bushings. And what this does, according to the only piece of paper I got, which I'm glad I got this, because then I could kind of research what's going on here. This basically moves the rack up, because you're moving the mounting points, you're offsetting it, and it moves the rack up, which according to this here piece of paper says this will partially correct bump steer problems. So I guess we gotta grease these, put these in. It says to put them in at 6 o'clock. So straight down. And then you got these inner metal sleeves, which I don't understand. See. Putting this feller to work.
That's me.
Yep.
You're lucky I love you.
Oh, I love
And
you
you've
too.
done a lot of scraping for me in the past, so I probably owe you.
Yeah.
So.
See, all that Dakota time, I'm getting it back. Getting my return on investment here.
You did a lot of scraping on the dirt, too.
Yeah.
I owe you times 2.
Yeah, that's all right.
2 vehicles.
This ain't too bad. It's not like you have to worry about hurting
Look at
anything.
this. Luckily, we're just doing a bed liner, so it doesn't need to be perfect,
No.
but...
So she's sanding up this bed. We got this turbo can of bed liner, Rust-Oleum. We'll see how far this gets us. Hopefully we can at least put one big old coat down. And yeah, so she's wiping it down with prep all, getting all the grease off. And I'm sure she's gonna spray us a nice little coat on there. And
I already washed it with the hose, and, but I'm probably gonna have to wash it again.
Nah, dude, just spray the dang thing. It's meant, that stuff's meant for just to...
You guys heard it from him. He told me to spray it, I'm gonna spray it.
Bruh, yeah, it's gonna be fine. That stuff's meant to spray right over crap. I mean, not like mud, but like, this is gonna be fine. Now that you're wiping this down with prep all, like, it'll be fine. All right, I'm just gonna leave you to it. You know what you're doing. I don't know what I'm doing. We are about to weld in this shock bar. And this will also mount my ARB. This is 10 Soldiers ARB. Pretty dang nice. I don't want to mess it up. But I've got it pretty close. Everything's kind of just, I don't know. So I think I'm going to try and land the arms close to the top of the axle tube. If it's not perfect, I'll live. And they're going to be angled down a little bit. That's what Jason told me to do. Because when you go to jack the truck up, you don't want it to go over center, I guess. I think is what he was saying basically. So it'll be angled down a little bit just like that, and it should land pretty close to the top of the axle tube, if not like around 3 o'clock, if you can kind of see what I'm saying. We'll go ahead and start welding this in. I've got it pretty close. Angle finder on it, and I usually use a digital one, but it just died for some reason. But this is probably the same deal, but it's dead on 0, so it's level, and the truck is also 0 degrees, so that should be good. And there's a couple holes I can go from locating this bar. I think these 2 holes are pretty close. It's kind of hard because the frame like angles in. It's kind of weird. 27.5, and 27, a little under a half. So I think I'm going to push this out just a little bit. I originally thought I was going to do the shock mounts on the front of this bar, but it was actually too far forward. The shocks were actually leaning forward. So, and that looks goofy. I don't care if the shock leans a little bit. It gives us room for a taller shock with more travel, I guess. But ideally, in a perfect race world, you know, straight up and down is perfect, but this is going to be fine. This will probably be where our shock lands, somewhere in there. And really outside, which is another theory that, you know, the further you get the shock to the wheel, I guess it controls it better. I don't know if that's true or not, but pretty slick. So these are our tabs for, so these are the tabs for this. So it goes like that. These will get welded to the bar eventually, but I think we'll do the shocks on the back side, and then these will land like right here. So there should be enough room for everything. I'm happy with it. Again, I'm not going to finish weld it until I know for sure everything's where I want it. But it's looking good so far. Well, 2 long years of working on these cab corners, and today's the day that we painted them.
Oh, no, we.
Oh, sorry. She's not taking any credit for this.
No, we.
No, she's not taking credit. All the credit goes to me. So, I should have just left the rust holes, if we're going to be completely honest.
No. You did a fantastic job on the cab corner welding and fitting.
That's not true. Couple more. That's just the first coat. We're going to throw some more on there and ruin it worse, and then we'll clear coat it, and we're going to call it good. So, see, Vice Grip, he did it with paint cans, painted a whole truck, and it looked like a damn SEMA truck. That's actually an insult. It looked like a show truck, but I guess you got to be good at what you're doing. You know, got to have it in you. I don't think I have it in me, so. But we're just going to keep slapping paint on it. And I've come to the conclusion that in 4 to 5 years, when I can afford to have this thing go to House of Pearls, which it's going to take a lot of courage because they're going to cut it off my cab corners and rocker panels and see the absolute hackery that I took place. One day we'll get there. Should have just got a new cab, but then the only thing original to the truck would have been the frame. You know, normally I wouldn't put this stuff in videos just because I don't like to give people more ammunition, but I am going to, I've told myself I don't care what people think. I want to make it to sick week, and this is how we make it to sick week on time.
Is it?
Yep, body work comes last.
Okay.
Body work comes last, right? Look at that, it's already better.
When I was painting the bumper and the grill on my Dakota, I had to use brown primer.
Yeah.
And I think that made a...
Right. Yeah, you did a hell of a job. Your freaking paint looks exactly the same.
Yeah, I know. It's
Like
just some
never-
random Rust-Oleum can that my dad picked up one day. He's like, oh, this looks pretty close.
See, the problem is I'm trying too hard.
Yeah, and you...
That's the problem. And on
All
that
right.
terrible disappointment, it's time to end.
So, tell the people, will you ever buy this big of a project truck again?
No, I'm not afraid of a project. I'm afraid of body work. I'll never buy a rusty shitbox
that's-
again.
Wait, okay, and you're never buying another OBS again.
I don't like your tone.
All right, do a proper outro.
And on that terrible disappointment, it's time to end.
Thank you guys for watching.
We'll see you in the next one.